So today we have one of our exhibitors who came for the STEM Africa Fest.
My name is Martin Oloo. I'm the founder and CEO of Fablab Winam.
So many gems. He said so many things, and I have so many questions, and I will follow up with this other questions. Hello everyone, my name is Tracey Shiundu, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of FunKe Science. FunKe Science does fun science learning for children, and in essence for everybody. We're trying to demystify science, to make it look fun, to make it look something that's enjoyable and something that you can do during your free time. And FunKe Science, together with our partners in Nigeria, last year ran STEM Africa Fest. STEM Africa Fest was a festival to show people the possibilities of STEM within the African continent. This STEM Africa Fest edition has been done in different countries across Africa, Nigeria being the first place where it was done, in Lagos. So now in Kenya, what we're trying to do is continue the conversation around STEM so that we can have as many people understanding what STEM is and what STEM is about. So today, we have one of our exhibitors who came for the STEM Africa Fest, and he's going to introduce himself and tell us some of the wonderful things he does. So I'll just slip it. I know his name already, so we can catch on from there. So Martin.
Thank you so
much. Tell us, just introduce yourself and then tell us what your organization does and the role of your organization.
I'm happy that you've already introduced me as Martin.
I've said just one name.
Yes, my name is Martin Oloo. I'm the founder and CEO of Fablab Winam. Fablab is basically an innovation makerspace, a space created to support young innovators to bring their ideas to life, because such spaces are very few. Actually, in Kenya, I think we might only be 4 or somewhere around that. So basically, Fablab is that space which promotes STEM, and we use digital fabrication machines like the 3D printers. Generally, we walk around fourth industrial revolution, and we are looking into better ways in which we can support. Apart from all those, we also do other things around branding, like these beautiful cups you have here. We do a lot.
Plug in STEM Africa Fest cups,
yeah, we do.
Design,
So now specifically, because to me innovation is, I usually describe it as a song.
Yes.
All of us are very good singers. All of us. Nobody was born without knowing how to sing. You will even hear some gospel song or some rumba somewhere, and you can follow, and you even know the words in your mind.
Yes.
But until you open your mouth, that is when you will know the difference, whether you know that song or not. So that is how innovation works. Innovation works very well in your head, but until you try it out, you will never know whether that idea works or not. So that is why the Fablab is that platform where you can come and test your idea, put it to test, build a prototype, because many investors also want to support working prototype, but nobody cares who helps you to bring that idea to life. Yeah.
So many gems. He said so many things, and I have so many questions, and I will follow up with this other questions. So it's interesting that within, first of all, I think he's not mentioned that Fablab is actually based in Kisumu.
Yes.
Kisumu County. Shout out to our people from Kisumu County. Come on. You see, you have interesting things around STEM just next to you. So not everything is in Nairobi. Remember that. Not everything. We're trying to demystify and spread it everywhere, decentralized. So the thing I like that you said is you're creating a space where people can tinker, do things.
Yes.
And I think a lot of our innovators, maybe thinking around even innovators from the past, like, let's see, which one did I know was an innovator? I don't know, it's escaped my mind. But the innovators who tinker a lot around things, even from the past and now from the future. What do you think has been the most remarkable innovation that you've seen from the people who come to your center? So is it children who've brought ideas? Is it adults as well? Because hey, innovation never stops.
Yeah, actually I've seen both from children and adults. I want to talk about a specific one which we did during COVID-19, and I can proudly say that Fablab Winam came with the first intervention in Kenya.
Yes.
Because I think the COVID-19 was announced somewhere around March 14th, and by March 20th, we had our first innovation, and you can get it online. You can go online, check, you will find what we call M-Safari. It was a contact tracing mobile application, because actually that time the governor of Kisumu, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, had just talked about how matatu operators need to have a book to record the passengers so that they can know who has traveled, tracing. So we developed a system that can help in tracing. And unfortunately, it didn't reach to the point where it could be commercialized, but I can tell you that the Ministry of Transport listed us as one of the suppliers. Of course, later on, I saw the advert asking for suppliers of the same innovation that we built. So we had to partner with another organization which is existing, because now they wanted a number of licenses which innovation might not have. So actually, when we'll be talking about some of the challenges of STEM and innovation, some are government policies, because new innovation might not have some of the licenses, but here it is.
And it's there. And it was working.
So,
M-Safari, guys, let's look out for this M-Safari, because it helped. And it helped in tracing passengers who came into different matatus. And I can imagine. I come from that part of Kenya, so the western side. So I've passed through Kisumu, going to Kisumu to Busia. It's not too far. And I can understand that even from Kisumu is like the hub of all the transportation. So from transportation
in the western Kenya.
So you can go to Kakamega, you can go all the way to Busia. Shout out to anyone from Busia. And then from there, you can even go to Homa Bay, Kisii. So even tracking all those people, that must have been phenomenal. That must have been that must have been big, because those are even millions of people. Yeah,
because ideally, you could track, let's say yourself, you've been found to have COVID-19. Then we can track you with everyone who was in that vehicle. So that everyone can be tracked and cut the link as early as possible. And then on the next level, where the ministry wanted us now to build cashless payment, so that people could also make payments cashless.
Because at that time we couldn't greet hands, we couldn't sit the way we were sitting. It would have to be either virtually or so that was beautiful. And just thinking around now what M-Safari was, and you've mentioned something like building tools towards the fourth industrial revolution. Could you tell us a bit more about that, and how Fablab Winam is working towards that as well?
So Fablab Winam, having these machineries which are not found in many places, like 3D printers, laser cutter, CNC machining, and then we have electronic bench where now people can learn about things like Internet of Things, learning about boards and all that. So with these tools, we are able to help the innovators to bring out the physical ideas into life, because there've been a lot of investment towards software related products, but very little about physical products. And of course, vision of Fablab Winam is community empowerment through innovation and local manufacturing. I strongly believe that if our country can focus on supporting STEM people towards building physical things, physical products, then we can solve the unemployment, because I normally give example of China, which is becoming superpower, because they've made sure that every household has a product made in China. Trust me, today, right now, if we search this room, we have a number of products made in China. Everywhere. So that is a market already. Africa has a big market that if we start producing things here locally, because why would we have our engineers who will just repair things? Why don't we make our own products? While raw materials, most of them come from Africa. So I strongly believe that if we have some energy towards local manufacturing, we hoped that Fablab, even though we've not gotten the right support we wanted, but we hoped that Fablab was that space where we'll be churning out the cottage industries, which can now start building things and, moving towards that direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like that you've mentioned around cottage industries. I will, after this conversation, there are a few people I can link you with that actually do cottage expos. Yeah. And you see, even when you think cottage expo, you don't think of technological things built with your hands. You just think of the usual other things manufactured, beads, leatherwork, and that sort of thing. But even technology can be, we make it with our hands, come on, with our brains and everything. So I like that you're throwing in things around the fourth industrial revolution, things around how we can build as Africa, how we can motivate ourselves as Africa, because those are some of the key things that even as FunKe Science, as even the troop of people around STEM Africa Fest, we are so passionate about our continent and everything coming from our continent. Yeah. So in that sense, how do you think then Fablab Winam is transforming education, and how do you think it's transforming the educational landscape in Kenya? Let's start there, and then we could think Africa-wide.
Yeah, Fablab is playing a very vital role because, again, from my own belief is that we should find a way of actualizing knowledge. Yes. We should find a way of making knowledge be more applicable, because many times knowledge remains theoretical. We remain with a lot of imagination of how things work. Yes. And Fablab's role has been trying to come up with hands-on activities. We have a number of hands-on activities that we expose children to. We give them confidence. I can tell you there's a time we went to some university to work with 4th and 5th engineering students on, they just asked us if we can help them develop a program that can help them show relationship between software and hardware. And we went with Arduinos and all that, and most of the students had never even touched some of the components. No. They know them online, but they've never touched them. And this was a big, and to your surprise, their trainers, probably if they are hearing today, they might be surprised. Their trainers, one of them was a class 8 dropout. Another one. And this is a university? Yes. Not even. And I could not disclose that. I can't be careful. Don't. Another one was from Form 4 leaver who had just finished but had not even gotten the certificate. And these are 4th, 5th year engineering. Yes, and they taught them BH. Yes. So bottom line is a lot of our education system has been doing a lot of theory, and our approach as Fablab, even today if you come to look for a job, your documents will be the last thing I will ask you. My approach is competence. Can we see what you can do with knowledge? So even if you told me that you dropped out, build your plane. Yes. Show me what you can do. So once you can prove that you can do it, then we can look at, okay, now can you share with us your documents? Because many times people go to interviews, they speak big, they have very nice degrees, but then you give them work. Story. Yes. So that is, so to me, Fablab has been providing that platform where children are able to interact with hands-on activities, and we make sure that the learning become like, to them the focus is let's play and let's produce this. Then along the way they ask questions. Teacher, why did we use the red wire? Teacher, why did we do this? And then now they learn by asking questions. And in many occasions we really don't want even our lessons to have pre-planned curriculum. We really want a situation where you get a group of people, get to know what they want, get to know what they are interested, then you co-create a curriculum towards that. And that makes learning more interesting, because we don't want to do what the school is already doing. So, and as we've seen, if you're being given AOB teachers, there's a bit of a problem. So we need to look into that. And I like also that you're throwing in practical learning, hands-on, touch, feel. And I like also that you've thrown in the aspect of not doing a lot of theory and not doing the practical part. So I'll probably just plug in even some of the work that we do at FunKe Science. And it's good you've spoken about it, because for me, my initial, I'd say off the table sort of research is that students are not interacting with science material in high school. But now you're scaring me by telling me, even when they go to do the STEM course, if they find the lab, they may not do. And even something as
and I will call it basic, and somebody will correct me, but I think it is basic as an Arduino.
Yes.
As the Arduino kits that you require. Yeah. Some universities don't have it.
Yes.
So it's worrying to me that this already from the past it's not there.
Yes.
But we're bringing in a new curriculum.
Yes.
Which maybe could be our glimmer of hope.
Yes.
How do you think now CBC will change some of those things? Do you think, and it's not even, it's just your opinion, it's not what will happen.
Thank you.
But do you think, it's not policy, we're not changing anything, we're just asking. Do you think it'll change the attitude towards STEM? And not just for the teachers, not just for the students actually, but for the teachers and the parents.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, my own opinion, because everyone is entitled to opinion.
Yes, and that's the only one. It's an opinion we're hawking.
Yeah,
Nothing else.
My opinion first is that Kenya used to have CBC, but was not called CBC. Yes. But it was watered down because I'm a little bit aged. And
you're not Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm not, but I'm Gen Z by action.
No, mentality.
Yes. So when I was in primary school,
yes,
we did art and craft.
Yes.
We built musical instruments.
Yes, guitars.
My KCP, part of my KCP was a farm, agricultural farm.
Tell me more.
Part of our KCP was, I was doing home science. I had a cloth which I had to learn how to...
the overalls.
Yes. So we did this.
We made the mat.
Yes, and I'm told...
Scarf.
Yes, I'm told people who are ahead of us were even going home with toolbox. You learn and go home with toolbox, and that is why somebody could finish in primary and get a job.
Yeah.
You get. So in high school, I had agricultural farm. It was part of KCSE.
What did you grow?
It was vegetable. It was skuma wiki.
Hey, man, shout out.
Yeah, we had farms.
Yes.
So there was a lot of practical in early years. Then there was this point where there was a lot of insistence of passing exam and then
reducing the number of subjects.
Reducing number of subjects, and then there was recognized learning institution. So people started, and then there was the emergence of the private universities where people could now, if you have money, you can go there. And so a lot of things got watered down. People are looking at what is your grade. With me, up to now, I don't believe in grading because, that type of grading which used to happen because somebody might be good at doing a lot of things, or somebody, you can get even very bright student, but that period of exam, something happened in their life, and then they don't perform as and then that one marks the end of your life because now you failed. If
you don't get 400 between, is it 350 400 out of 500, you're like done.
Yeah.
And then in KCSE, if you don't get, is it C plus or even B nowadays?
Yes.
Story.
Yeah. But now CBC, thank God it has come. However, I strongly think that, in my own opinion, it would have started in teachers training college first. At least 3 years before it is introduced in schools, we should have teachers who understand how it can be trained first before it is introduced. If you remember when CBC was introduced in Kenya, what you could see outside there was children wearing gunias and sweeping. There was a lot of that drama around.
Yeah, they went to clean all the markets.
Yes, because the teachers were not understanding the animal in the house. So they could only do what they can understand and what friends tell them, this is it.
Try it.
Yes, try this. But and then also there must be high involvement of parents because this curriculum needs a lot of parental input. Even today, you see a situation where children are told how to make this. The child comes at home, tells you that. The child will be sleeping and you will be remaining making Then they are going to grade the child on what you made. You get? Yes. So there's also a lot of, and of course, CBC has come with a lot of work burden, so teachers transfer that to the parent. Parent, it's either you go buy it in supermarket or you make it yourself. It is not even helping the child to grow. The child will be ranked on. So technically, they are ranking the parent.
They are giving me the grade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I think is that there should be understanding. The three parties, the student, the parent, the teachers, should sit together and let's relook at how do we do CBC to bring more impact. And again, with this, with the education system, basically, I think there's also a policy issue with government, because you find people like us, organizations like yours, who are trying to work with the schools, but then you will easily work with a private school than a government school. Personally, I went through going to the ministry. We had a very interesting program. But then I went to the ministry. I had to go to Jogo House, and I was told, one, you must not charge that training. Two, it must be done by a TSC teacher employed in that school. So what does that mean? I have to take that teacher, train that teacher, build their capacity, and pay them by force. Because remember, they are also charging the school. Yes, you see, and here we are. This is why the children of the poor will end up not missing these things, because they are the ones going in public school, while the private school, which have even this capacity, then they pay for everything, and then they meet in the university. Then you expect them to work in the same place. I think the government policies should be lenient. Let them interrogate people like us who want to support. Let them check on the content that we want to give. And if it is right, then let's agree on what can work so that we can support. I have schools around. We have a lot of schools who are interested in working with us. But then the government policy stops everything. And I understand. You're good. But in my opinion, I think the CBC will do amazing work if all teams work together. If curriculum developers also come and understand what is going on the ground, because also curriculum developers at times they sit where they are, and then the learners are here, the teachers are on the other side. I have seen this even with TVET institutions, because I've tried to work with TVET institutions. We have TVET institutions with great machines. Those machines are lying there. Gathering dust. If you get a student who, for example, we have, for example, our computer numeric control machine, you want a student who can work with that. You know this person is from TVET institution, and they have those machines, so they should know how to use it. They tell you that we never access those machines. In my period in education, probably we tried an activity with it once. So those machines are there, because also probably the trainers, their capacity do not allow them to do that. So there is a lot of capacity gaps, and I think there's also the gap between the industry and education. So again, curriculum developers should also listen to the industry. What does the industry want? And then education should be aligned to that, because by the end of the day, education is to expand our knowledge, but we must get jobs. We must get something to do with it. For sure. And I think, Martin, you've touched on quite a lot of very key things that maybe even whoever is listening or whoever is watching this will be thinking, what exactly can we do differently? What can we do as ecosystem players within STEM? Because I think even having STEM Africa First, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, for that event, when we were marketing it, a lot of parents were like, I don't know what STEM is, I don't understand, I hear it's being propagated, let me come and see. And you know, when you're already hearing, let me come and see, you're like, okay, do people actually understand what's going on? And then the second thing that comes up is, if it's not just the parents talking about it, it's also teachers. So like, I think even there's a value-based disconnect where for us who are in the industry, we're like, this is important. You need to look at it. You need to work together. So what do you think within this ecosystem of ours? Do we move as a big block? Because that's the one thing I'm very big on. And if we move as a big block, what do you think we could do differently? Because you've touched on a few of them, but are there more things that we could do other than just pushing policy? I think the first thing which I like about your people is that let me go and see. That is a very big step. Because if the parents understand it, then they have a buy-in. Then they can have conversation with the school. Because parents are key stakeholders to the education. This is very different from Kisumu. I have done a number of programs, and I invite parents to come. No parent wants to come. So when I came to this event and I saw parents and they were asking us a lot of questions, I was so much impressed, because if parents get involved.
Yes.
And then if teachers get involved and get buy-ins, because we've tried to work with some schools. For example, I remember talking to some school about coding. It was a private school, and then the teacher told me that, you know, because coding is not being examined, we just give them the basics and we pass it. And here we are. We want to make sure that when we are talking about coding, can a child do Scratch programming?
Yes, and it's very easy.
Yes, it's easy.
Okay, for us, maybe. But
yeah, but actually with kids, if you teach them, if they get somebody who knows and teach them, it's easy. Fablab, let me say, we have a program called Fab Kids. So the Fab Kids is a program that is promoting STEM. So under Fab Kids, we have a number of activities. One is called Global Kids Day. This one we partner with other Fab Labs. Of course, Fab Lab is a global movement of maker spaces. So we partner with other Fab Labs around the world who are also working with kids. Yeah. So every year we do activities. In fact, at times we do multiple activities around culture, education, and digital fabrication. And we normally get over 1,000 kids joining virtually, and they do a common activity in one space. So what does that do? It breaks the boundaries, because you know the way we normally see wazungu wako mbele zetu. In many occasions we see...
I'm not going to translate that. Google what it means.
Yes, they need to Google that. So in many occasions people see themselves like that. We see ourselves as inferior in many occasions.
Yes.
And so when I have my kids in Kenya here, and we have other kids in US and others in Japan and others, and then they are doing one activity with the same instruction, and a kid in Kenya does it faster, then they realize that they also have equal power. They have the potential. So
we are same.
We are in the same WhatsApp group.
Same.
Yeah. So that is one of the things that normally helps, and also it helps in knowing the differences in technology. I remember, and I felt ashamed, but I said that is the reality. When there was a question of what is the future, what do you see the future of classroom? And a child in Kenya was like a big classroom with TV and and then another child was a virtual classroom where you don't need to walk to school, you log in, and then you could easily see how we see the disconnect. And this is why if we have these global connections, then we bring this together. Yes. Again, another global activity that we do, of course, this one I was introduced by Inodems. Shout out to them. Actually,
they'll be on.
They're the ones who even introduced me to
our maths guys.
Yeah. So it's called ABO. Asset-based learning environments, where our children are connecting virtually and they work in groups with other children in other parts of the world to do projects together, and they're STEM projects, and it's amazing. Actually, I work with children from a local government school, which is considered low level. If you see how much those kids have grown, there are 6. How much they've grown. In fact, one of them, if you go to our Facebook, you'll see him explaining how he has programmed a robotic car and works. And even their teacher came and told me,
like, vibes.
I want to be trained. I want to be part of this because I am a STEM teacher, but I lack this knowledge. So to me, I think there's a way in which we should work. I know there is infrastructure challenges a lot. Yes. Because if you go to public school, they don't have computers.
The more the public school is out of Nairobi,
the farther they are.
Or the urban center, the more you're like, you almost look at the school and you're like, what is going on?
But there's a little glimpse of light, because remember, in Uhuru government, they provided laptops in school.
And tablets.
Yes, they call them laptops. And some of those, especially in those rural schools, are kept in a store and locked. Nobody should use them. So these are some of the ways in which we can start activating those ones.
Yeah.
So
because the devices are there.
Yes. So
all they need is programs.
Yes. How do we run programs with them? And So again, on what you started by saying, I think there is need for STEM players to work together. Let's identify the challenges. How can we maneuver around? Because if we work together, then we can easily succeed. Yes. But if you are a lone voice telling people, oh, STEM this, oh, STEM that.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
Again, in partnership with InnoDems, in December, we managed to run STEM training for teachers.
Nice.
Because one of the biggest challenges also lack of buy-in by educators. When teachers don't understand it, it is useless. You go to these schools, the head teacher will tell you, can you talk to Mr. So-and-so or Madam So-and-so? You go to talk to them, and because they don't understand it, then Mwalimu, this is not right for us, and it's done. So if they are the people who like it, they will push it and it will work. So buy-in of the educators is very important. Yeah.
But okay, now they're being, what is the recent one I saw at my son's school? Facilitators. Yes. Like, I think we're giving our teachers interesting names. Let's stick to educator. Yes, sounds very nice because it encompasses both, so K to 12. So let's say from as small as playgroup, my little daughter, to as high up as even university students. Yes. So if you say educator, it encompasses all of them. And I think you're bringing a very important point around, I think, continuous capacity building. Yes. And as people within the STEM facing ecosystem and that sort of thing, what's your take on and how should we even break down doing this continuous capacity building? Because I think parents, not even just parents, educators need it. Yes. And then how do we even do it to tertiary institutions? Because how are you telling a professor, hey, by the way, calm down. There are new technologies. Yes. Considering also that some of our lecturers don't go for like paid sabbaticals. Yes. And we also have to acknowledge that they have those problems. So I don't know. It's not like I'm telling you, come up with a solution now. Yes. It's like, what do you think we could do? And then maybe we could add it into our list of hopes.
Yeah. I am thinking that one of the ways is to invite them into some of the workshops that we do. Nice. So that it can be like salvation. You know, salvation comes where you talk to your own heart and see that I have some gaps that I need to work on. So when they come to these workshops and then they can see that, okay, this is what is now going on
in the industry.
And this is where we are. And then they now... and then we can have programs. So we can even start with virtual activities, and we just encourage you can just join in at and then people can understand these are the gaps and these are the things that we need to learn more. And then now, where if you want to know more, then let's organize a workshop. Let's do this, because there's no way. Actually, that is the biggest challenge we've been having, where you go to tell them that this is good, and they don't know how good it is. So until they see the gap on their end. Yeah. And this is why I am lucky to have some few students in a local primary school to work with. So when people can now start seeing the difference on what these kids can do, then they will start talking of, how can my child be part of it? How can our school be part of it? And then we now talk of what are the capacity areas that we need to build so that you get there. Because if we get educators who are pro-STEM, then we are sure they will be the advocates of that, and they'll be able to look for more knowledge outside there.
Okay, that is very awesome. Martin, you've talked a lot about what you can do differently in the STEM ecosystem, how we can change attitudes as well. Now I want to get something from you. Yes. So we had the STEM Africa Festival. Yes. You've touched a bit on how parents maybe in more urban settings are more switched on when it comes to STEM. Yes. But for you as Martin, what motivated you to, number one, create Fablab Winam? Yes. And then two, also to come for STEM Fest?
Oh, all right. First, creating Fablab Winam, let me touch on my background. I'm a social worker. Bring on. I'm a social worker. And that is very important. Yes. So as a social worker, I used to do a lot of community work, and I was feeling like our work ends in giving hope and nothing much. And I really wanted a space where we can give people, especially young women, technical skills. Nice. And when I learned about Fab Labs and then asked if I can get more knowledge, then they gave me scholarship, and I did what they call Fab Academy training, which looked like engineering course squeezed in 7 months. It's a very tough course. So I did that, and then finally asked them if we can create a Fab Lab. Generally, Fab Labs is fabrication laboratory.
Yes.
It was created as a space. It was created as places where engineers can run the test, because the founder of Fablab movement, called Professor Neil Gershenfeld, was teaching engineering students globally, but then they lacked laboratories where they can practice. So they came up with a set of tools that you need in a place. Actually, many times they marketed it as a place where you can make almost anything. So you can use the tools to be as creative, as innovative as possible.
Nice.
So we created that. But apart from that, maybe somebody can ask, why Kisumu? For the longest time...
But I'm happy it's Kisumu.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about Nairobi.
Thank you.
I'm happy it's
For the longest time, there had been... Kisumu had been appearing in media because of whenever there's difference between the government and the people, then Kisumu is a hotspot. But what could be the real challenges? It might not be political. What are the real challenges? Kisumu do not even have manufacturing industries.
Wow.
If they have, tell me.
And we fish there.
Yes. But then, where are the factories processing fish? They're not in Kisumu.
Wow. Not even anywhere near the inside, even not even Homa Bay.
So the main employers in Kisumu, apart from the government, the NGO, which again, if
we have another story.
We have another story about NGOs. Actually, the Western Kenya region, the most staff, even the so-called government staff, most of them have been employed by NGOs.
Oh no.
So apart from that, we have the border. Those are the main employers. So I was looking at, what about if we create a space where these young people, because most of them were Mesoma, Kisumu people, they are friends of books.
Mathematics is our thing, and Queen's English.
So you get somebody with so much knowledge, but they have nowhere to apply it. So my hope was, what about if we create a space where they can come, work out things, build things, and then proceed to the next level where they can now move to manufacturing. But later on, I realized that unlike the Western Fab Labs or maker spaces where you get rich people putting in money, so as an innovator, you can go take all your time there, try to do your thing. You can go home, you will still eat because we can give you some little money to go home. You can buy materials, you can survive. You can survive, yes. and product your project, you can still do it. But here we want to tell you that you have to buy materials by yourself.
Sure.
You have to pay for our machine. What we will offer is professional support, which you should also start paying at a certain period of time. You don't get much people coming because, again, young people want to survive.
Yes.
It's better for them to go and learn how to ride a motorbike. In the next 30 minutes, they can get somebody to,
So, 100 bob and I'm good to go.
So basically, Fablab the motivation was, how can we curb unemployment? How can we think about local manufacturing? Because why do we have even solar lamps spreading all over the country?
Especially that side.
Yes. And because of course we have equator, so we should take advantage of that. Yeah. But then all those lamps are imported.
Yes.
They break down, they have double-sided board, so even repairing is very difficult. So what happens? You throw it. Yeah. So technically we have a lot of e-waste. So what about if our people start making things?
Those solar lamps.
Can government or other supporters come in to support the small innovators who want to make physical products, to work with them through the journey until the product is ready and taken to market? So basically that is the reason why we started Fablab, and so far we don't regret. Actually, last Friday, the other Friday, we graduated 63 students. From they did cybersecurity, and another group there was 63, 32 did cybersecurity, 31 did data analytics and visualization, and this was a program funded by World Bank through Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Yes. So we try to provide that space where we can tap in building capacities of young people. And I'm happy that after that training, of course, even in Nairobi here, I was visiting a few of them. Some of them have been absorbed in some companies. Which is good. So to us is, how can you build capacities of people so that they can become more marketable, more employable? Because like I said at the beginning, a lot of young people finish their universities, but they are not yet employable. Employers are there, but cannot employ them because they lack hands-on skills. So ours, we try to make sure that as much as possible, we provide hands-on skills. Now, why did we come for the conference?
Yes,
one, we are based in Kisumu.
Yes.
Outside the capital city.
Yeah.
Any potential
event
partners
happens
in Nairobi. So coming to that, one of the reasons is for you to find me. Now you found us. so that you get to know that things happen there.
Yes.
Then two, of course, was just to know what other people are doing. Let us get to know who is in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Is there something that we can do together? Is there something we can learn from them? And of course, I got a number of ideas around people, and we have some conversation with other people on how best can we take this to the next level. And in my deepest and honest opinion, I really think that we really have to have association or group that we can push all this agenda together. We can learn from each other because we have more than enough space for us. We are not competing. We only need to partner, work together, and we deliver.
I like that because we are all saying, remember, ecosystems and partnerships. Yeah. We're all working for the same thing.
Yes.
We want our children's futures to be much different than ours.
Yes.
We want parents to understand that it is possible for your child, regardless of wherever they are. Yeah. And we want also educators to know learning does not only go to one way, where it is the educator telling the learner, this is what you're supposed to know. It is also a scenario where we're all learning together.
Actually, there was a time we were teaching VR. Okay, I am not a football fan. Trust me, I got a lot of kids who knew so much about VR that they had to take the lead in training.
You're almost like, I'm the adult.
Actually, STEM is so tricky when you are teaching it. Never put yourself like the bright one, because they will. These young guys will
show you.
Will show you. Even right now, the way they use AI, it's amazing. At times I sit back and I have to learn from them without them knowing that they are now the teachers in this room.
And it's interesting that you brought in now AI and VR, and I don't know if you also do robotics.
Yes, we do.
Okay, fantastic. If you're STEM, yes, everyone does. Now we are all multifaceted. Yeah. But I think, how do you see now these like emerging innovations changing the future of education, changing our future as Kenya, changing learning, teaching? How do you see them changing it?
Actually, a lot of people just think AI is ChatGPT.
Yeah, imagine.
But it is a lot.
Imagine. Even Alexa.
And one thing which all of us must agree is we need to run with speed, because the speed in which the AIs are moving, we will be left out.
Yes.
So the way it changes, one, it provides opportunity for some people to learn by themselves. For example, right now, some people can become even singers without knowing how to sing. Yes. People do a lot of crazy things. You can see, even in our politics, during campaign, a lot of things will change because there are a lot of videos which you will just see, this is the real person. And of course,
but AI generated.
Yes, they are AI generated. Yes. So there's a lot around AI that we really need to learn, because a lot of your students, let me talk to educators. As educator, a lot of your students will always be ahead of you.
Always.
Always. So if you are stuck with knowledge that you learned in the other years, you will be left behind, and it will be so difficult to control that class. So the best thing is learn as fast as possible. Again, these tools helps even as a teacher to also know the progress of students. You can use AIs to help you analyze the progress of a student. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think there are chances that even learning will not go per age or per group. It will go as per the understanding of a child. There is a possibility of a child of 13 years who will be finding themselves in university level, because they are able to learn very fast and leave you guys there and move. And also, there is possibility that we will have to drop the traditional way of thinking of grading.
Amen.
And start looking at real competence and what people can do with whatever they do.
I like that.
Yeah. And with robotics, actually, the reason why Fablab normally finds it difficult is I'm a little bit rigid in a way that I have been looking instead of using Legos, why don't we build our own things? And we've been using 3D printing to build parts, and then you input the electronics, and then the children program it. And actually that is where I tell people, how can coding, how can a child know that code works and it can be used in real life? Now, if they can code, they can 3D print the parts. First of all, they design it using any CAD designing, even Tinkercad. And after designing the parts, then they 3D print. And again, they will now actually see that the design which I designed, now I can physically carry it.
I have it in my hand.
Yes. After 3D printing it, now they walk into electronics. How can they program all the motors and everything? And then it works. Now the code, the lines which I wrote here, I've pushed it there, and now I can control it, and it does what, and now that now makes sense. The knowledge now makes sense that, why do I learn this? Because many parents take children to learn coding because that is what is trending.
It's cool, you'll go work at Microsoft.
You become cool, but,
yes.
But then, how can a child now make sense out of it and say, oh, so this is what it can do? And then now they can now think outside the box, what else can I do with it? And now that is how they become innovative. Now that I've known how this one works, what if I do something that does this? What if I do this?
Yeah. Because I think the way you said it, a lot of learning is lost in theory.
Yes.
And can be revived by being the practicality of it. So then from that sort of thinking, and which is also maybe a challenge that we've, not a challenge, but let's say something that we've seen, is that the child is interested.
Yes.
But if my parent has no idea what I am talking about, they're least likely to join me.
Yes.
So how best have you now brought parents along for the conversation, and educators, because we've also mentioned the same. So is it that we need to train them more often? Is it that we need to talk about like this, like have more conversations like this? More STEM Fest. Woo! Shout out to people who want to come for STEM Fest. It's work organizing it, but it's a labor of love.
It's worth it.
Yes. So is that something you see being the future of us demystifying, especially STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, agriculture, art, medicine, however we call it, STEAM, STEM,
everything inside there.
All of them. Do you think that's the continuous thing that we must do? Because we've already come from a society as Africans where everybody thinks that anything technological does not come from Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, and which is sad, which is not what is supposed to be happening. Any sort of high level thinking is not for Africa.
Yeah.
And then you see they always say that joke, if you want to hide anything from an African, put it in a book. Just like, what if we don't read? And then you see to another extent, it's like even reports are written down.
Yeah.
And then nobody interrogates them. So I don't know, is it, because we can't change attitudes, but how do we try and bring along people? So do we continue talking, shouting, singing? Every day we're just posting, do you know?
I think we need to bring in all the efforts, everything that we can use. Because you will get parents who will be listening to radio in the bus in the morning, and probably your podcast will be that thing they are listening and like, okay, so I need to do this. If we do more of these activities, they can participate. If we do, including even we can do things like some competition, like robotic competition, and you get some kid from an unknown school, a school with 7 names.
And then there's also someone's name in the middle of the name.
Exactly. And then you realize that kid is doing amazing work. Brilliant. You see, recently there was a shame. Actually, somebody said it in the media. I think it was on Citizen TV where somebody was saying that when the TVET students went to France, I think there was some TVET fair in France where all the TVET institutions met. The African TVETs were still stuck on other traditional technology.
Oh, no.
While others on the other side were busy working on robotics, how construction can now, how you can use 3D printing in construction, how you can use robotics to do a lot of work. And of course, people have been fearing technology because technology will replace us. But I think it might be a good thing. It can leave your hands free so that you tackle other things. We have a lot of things to do. Yes.
You can use it to think.
Yes, you can set up your cameras roll there and then you go busy with something else, so work on something else. So I think there is also that fear of technology, and I think this one also I want to talk to African women.
Yes.
African
us.
Women? Yes, us.
Yes,
Us, you.
Yeah.
So Fablab developed a program called She Builds. The purpose of the program was to bring more women into tech.
Yes.
Because trust me, today, most women in tech, especially who went on hardware stuff, most of them are not on those hardware.
Yes.
In college, they did the hardware.
And built them.
But today, they are busy in software or sales or something.
Clean.
Traditionally, African women were the makers. Look at pottery, look at weaving, look at all those things. Women are great makers, and then women are very good at technological transfer. If a woman does something like you are doing all this, your kid will always be next to you. Mommy, how is this?
Yeah.
And they will
in the other room, FYI.
Before you know it, they will be doing things you do.
Yes.
But with men, very few men will
transfer.
Yes. So women can transfer this knowledge, and so I think in all the efforts we are talking about, the successful women in STEM must find a way of coming back to mentor girls.
Yes.
We've always developed programs, like we are running a program in school called STEM, Environmental Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, for girls. So we developed Green Kit for girls. It was just solar components, and we go to schools and we allow kids to connect everything, and then they get power. Then we start teaching IoT. How do they connect a micro irrigation system, and then they see. You see that?
Yes.
So they do all this, but we make sure that in every group of 5 kids, it is the girl who must lead that group.
Oh yes.
So at the beginning, the boys will scream, "Oh, that's why that thing will explode." But then along the way,
yes.
We insist. At times they are scared. They really want to withdraw, but we insist they have to lead the group. By the end of the day, they realize the power they have in them. And the boys also find a way of how can we support them, because so they can always do it.
Yes. It's nothing new.
So I think the successful women in STEM, we must find a way, in whichever big company you work, find a way of how do we mentor these young people, because women can help our technology move to the next level.
I like that.
So
that's a call for me and all the other women who are in STEM. We have a lot of things to do. Yeah. I think Martin will agree. He'll nod. My offspring are around. So I'm seeing it happening. And I think even if you think back, even for yourselves, as even the people who are watching, listening, if you think of yourselves growing up, even a lot of your homework, you are helped by someone in the house who in most cases happen to be a woman.
Yes.
So if it's not the nanny in the house who's been empowered to help you, then it's your mother who's there sitting with you. Okay, we are learning this, whether it is making, and I remember making a pin cushion, whether it's together, or whether it was learning how, I still remember we grew groundnuts. That one I remember it was my dad who helped me, but maintaining the plant, it was me and mom. So shout out dad, I still love you 100%. We did this together, but we started, finishing was mom. And I like that. And I think as we come to like even concluding this conversation, I think the biggest thing I'm taking away is that doing STEM and moving Africa to the next level, we have all agreed it's STEM. Yes. That's why even for Kenya, the government has said 60% must transition into STEM.
Yes.
We don't know where, who, but we know that Martin is in Kisumu. He's helping the western side. As FunKe Science, regardless, we are visiting. We'll take you guys for a tour.
Please, come over.
I have forcefully invited you.
Come over.
And whatever I make, don't laugh. It is mine. It is mine. It's my invention.
Actually, that is what we are preaching. As Fablab, what we want people to do is can you at least make something for yourself? Come there, make even an earring.
Yes.
Make a wall hanging. You know, in life, at least you should say that, God, you gave me life, but I did not just make food. At least I made something else.
And I didn't just make noise.
Yes.
I did things with my life that were constructive. Yeah, so as we close then, Martin, and thank you so much for all your time and all your lovely gems to helping us build STEM. So if you could pick any scientist, living, dead, or, well, coming up, because you're also nurturing some of them, if you could work with them and they could be in your team for a day, who would they be and what would you have them do? Any.
That's a difficult question. That is a very difficult question. But I don't know if I'll disappoint you, but the scientist I would pick is the scientist who is not known and is a child. I'm looking at a child because child brain is open. They are open to do a lot. And it is adults who now decide to shape them.
Yes.
So if I can pick a child and be put in a place and just allow the child to explore. Like all the resources are available, just explore and do things. I am sure that we will have a very lovely world because a lot of us, our minds have been shaped by different scientists who believe in this, the other one believe in this, and then of course they are factual, but then we thought that inventions ended. But if you get a child, a new thing which you've never thought of will come up. So to me, the biggest scientists that we have,
that new child
that we can have, and just allow them to play. Give them a lot of things. Make anything, and then
blow it up.
That is how I see it.
Okay, so as we close that, Martin, your parting shot, you could look straight to the camera and give us your 30-second, maybe just closing statement and your dream for education. So just straight to the camera.
Thank you. To our listeners, to our viewers, my thought about education is that education is interesting. Education is for us all, and education needs all of us to participate in it. What we need to do is to make education as practical as possible. There's been an approach where the teacher knows everything and the learner doesn't know, but the approach we need to do is explore of what the learner knows and then how do we build it to a greater length, because learners read wide. Have you ever asked yourself why you have 7 or 10 teachers teaching different subjects to one single person?
One student.
So that students must be so bright. So if we allow them to express what they understand, and we make sure that our learning session does not become just theory, we allow kids to practice. Fablab, we are trying to create what we call CBC labs, where we help educators to build practical activities which make sense, and then the students can learn with that. Yes, and that is what I am looking at. Our future of education should be more practical, so that by the time a student leaves a learning institution, they can do something better with their lives, not just carrying a certificate that I did this, but when they are
an engineer.
So that is it. That's what I'm thinking, and I am looking forward that the STEM team, let's make Africa proud again, because let's make things. Let's use our knowledge to build Africa, because we are not a third world children of God where we are only left to repair things. We can build things. Resources are available in Africa, and we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Till our next episode. See you wherever. If it's Fablab, if it's FunKe Science, if it's STEM Africa First, we are ready for you whenever you want to come. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.